Hi. For those who don't know yet, my name is Matt. It's currently February 2026, and last month I hit the record month with my business at $30,000 while in university and about to graduate in the next few months. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about exactly my story and how I got into this position. Seco, or Setter Collaborative, started about in September when I was in Bali, now working with a bunch of guys, doing six figures a month, and I was at the time not too sure of exactly where I want to be at. I scaled to a certain point. I didn't understand what vehicle I wanted to get in. And this whole time I was just burnt, to be honest with you. I was burnt out because I didn't know where I was going. And trust me, if you guys are watching this and you guys are at a point where you don't know how to scale or what to move on to next, that's exactly how I was feeling. I feel like that's the nature of the game. You might have all of your shit figured out in the next 2 months, 3 months, but after that, you might start feeling lost again. And in that moment, when I got burnt and I started looking at all of these guys running up their own offers, running up with their own businesses, that's when I realized that I didn't want to work for anybody anymore. I came into this game because I wanted to become an entrepreneur, and all I did was working for other people. And that's when everything clicked. I started Seco right there. I ended up building for a month and made my first $12,000 month within the first month of launching Setters Collaborative. Seeing that what I've been working on for the last month actually worked, but what I didn't know and what anybody told me was that the next 3-4 months was going to be the worst months that I've had in my whole career. The business was barely surviving. I think at a point, maybe for a month in November or in December, my costs were greater than how much the business was making. I was barely making anything. And every single month I was still paying my mentors. I was still paying out my team, and I didn't make any money at all. At the same time, I had uni. I had like 4 or 5 essays to do, and I basically did them in the last few hours, maybe the last few days. I was stressed with uni. I had so many people to kind of, my team to talk to, the students that I had at the time, which I'm so blessed to have because they all supported me through this journey. I remember the moment that I wanted to give up was when I had to record a piece of content that was for motivation, but the whole day I wasn't making any money for the last few weeks. I didn't close 3 sales calls. I think that was the day that happened, and I genuinely wanted to quit. I wanted to quit because I just ran a group call where I'm working like 6 hours a day, 8 hours, I think sometimes even 12 hours, and I didn't make a single buck at all because I genuinely thought that I couldn't do anything about it. I thought everybody was right. I overestimated myself, and I didn't think that I put in the inputs every single day to do that. And to be honest, it was all my fault. I expected to grow the business without even growing myself. I wanted to be this big entrepreneur, this person that has everything figured out, but I couldn't even dial my own self. Yes, I was going into the gym. Yes, I was eating right, but I didn't stay disciplined. I was still doom scrolling. I was still too undisciplined to be recording content, to be getting on calls, to doing well in sales calls, to be reviewing my sales calls. I didn't put in the inputs that I needed to achieve the person I wanted to become. And the thing that changed, and as cliche as it sounds, is the team that I was working with. I had people who were pushing me. And I realized that while I'm a leader and I have other people to push me, I should be pushing them. I realized that I didn't work alongside my team. I didn't work with them. And that was the main thing that kind of fucked it up for me, right? I started to realize yes, I'm totally fine if myself isn't making any money, but I want my team to grow. And that was the lever that pulled me into working harder to stay disciplined, because I'm not only changing my life, but I'm affecting the people around me as well. I stopped being just an employer and I started becoming a leader. I started aligning our visions. I started working with systems. I started, taking a step back and really taking a look at what I want and what my team wants, and how we can strategize together to achieve our goals individually, but inside the business together. I started working on fulfillment, not only just for my clients, but for my team. Whether that's going to be flying out my creative director to London, or paying my team well with bonus structures, or having the most amazing client experiences I have, not only for my B2C, but also for my B2B. I had this realization when I took 2 weeks off of my business, because I realized that I wasn't doing anything. I started time blocking. I started being more efficient. I actually thought like a business owner, strategizing, because the whole idea is if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? That was in one of the books that I've read recently. And that's how I didn't make any money for 4 months, and suddenly in the month of January I had 100% close rate My team was dialed in. We posted as consistently as ever. My sales team was dialed in. My VA, my creative director, you all collaborated, spoke in group calls 3 times a week, communicated every single day just so we got to the position. And everybody inside the team hit a record month that month. Not just me, not just my students, but the people working alongside me. And that's what matters the most. You see, I used to think that I could be blaming external circumstances. Definitely in the first 4 months. I went inside uni. It is my final year. I had classes maybe every single day. I had essays. I wanted to meet with my friends. And I always thought to myself, the reason why I can't do this, the reason why I can't make content or take a sales call or do well in my sales call or not have enough time to review sales and get better at closing was because I didn't have the time. I thought I was juggling too much. I made excuses. But to be honest with you, how many times did I scroll on TikTok or took too long inside the gym or prioritize watching Netflix and cooking at home rather than input inside the business? So many fucking times. I was just making excuses and coping. And I'm sure most of you are like that. Most of you guys are thinking you don't have enough time to run a business or a side hustle. Not even if it's what I'm doing, even if it's UGC or whatever. You know, those extra times that you think you don't have, you definitely do. I didn't think I had the time, but I only did that because I was just coping. I was really just coping. And that's what made me become complacent and made me lose so much of the money that I could be making in that last quarter of 2025. I'm literally an example of why it would work and why you have the time. I might not be taking the hardest business major or any sort of major really. I'm probably taking the easiest, but I'm still running a business. I take 12 hours of calls or inputs into my business every single day. I made 30K last month. I go bouldering. I go to the gym. I eat well. I spend time with my sister, my mom, and my dad. I go to university classes. I'm still getting relatively good grades. I finish my essays all in time. I'm graduating in the next 3 months. I'm still meeting my friends. I go out into university events and society events. All maintaining this because I know even if it feels like there's a struggle currently, it's just going to be a lot better in the future. Short-term struggle for long-term success. That's what it is. I'm not telling you that it's easy. I'm not telling you that sometimes I don't feel like I'm stressed out and wanting to just take a chill day, but that's just discipline. And that's what I always say to my students, right? Because everybody inside my community is basically inside university. We have people that are making 6K a month in university. Recently just made 2.2K in the first 7 days. We have people in masters, people taking dentistry, economics, full-time university students, and they're still ripping. Why? Because they're prioritizing it. They understand the bigger picture. And what I teach is not just about the skill set itself, because that's not what you need. The thing that limits people all the time is not just the actual skill set. It's the limiting beliefs, it's the character, the coping, the blaming external circumstances, the belief that they won't be able to make a certain amount of money or have a certain amount of time, or this seems unrealistic or that seems unrealistic, that seems too difficult, I don't have time for that. That's what everybody thinks, and that's why people get stuck. Because so many people don't just want to take that first step, draw a line in the sand, and actually do the things that they said they were going to do. You probably talked about losing weight, for example, or going into the gym. Why haven't you? Because you don't have the time? That's bullshit. It's just the lack of discipline that you have. Why I haven't started posting content? Why didn't I do my essay yesterday? Why didn't I study for my exam in 2 weeks? Those little things are the reasons why you're not achieving greatness. It's because you are making excuses and coping, but that's the problem that you currently have. And if nothing changes, nothing changes. How can you become a person that you want to become if you don't start changing now? Do you just magically turn into that person with discipline? If you're acting like the person you are currently, do you think you can make a certain amount of money? If you think so, fuck off. It's all the excuses everybody keeps making. And I'm not saying that you're struggling with it, because I struggle with it as well. At the end of the day, there's always another person that is better than you. The more that you look up to that person and try to become better, obviously the better you're gonna get. But if you keep looking down on people, you think that, I'm better than all of my friends in my circle currently, so I should stop. Fuck that. That means you just have shit friends. But anyways, the experience I've had definitely in the last 5 months shows me and kind of teaches me what it takes to actually run business or become the person that I want to become. I was showing up every single day, getting on calls, showing my students that I was happy, but I was probably in the worst amount of stress that I've ever been, even this month. But if you keep showing up every single day, making sure you're putting the inputs into your dream, no matter what the inputs are, as long as you're showing up, that dream would just no longer be a dream. That dream will literally become reality. It's not if, but it's when. Sometimes it takes longer than other people. Some people make $1 million in a few months. Some people make $1 million in 10, 20 years. But as long as they keep showing up and fighting for the thing that they need, they will get there. Because the moment you fail is the only time when you give up. This month is literally going to be a month full of surprises. I already know that. I wouldn't say it's doing too well, but that's how it is, you know? It's never a linear growth. It's always up and down, right? And the moment that you give up when it goes down, or you feel like shit, or you get emotional about it, that's what's going to make you fail. As long as you're strategizing, as long as you're looking at what you can be doing to get better, you're going to achieve that. And it's not just my life that's changing, but it's also the people around me as well. I'm flying my creative director out to London. We're going to shoot some videos. We're going to be, I'm going to help him network with some of the guys in London as well. And just like that whole aspect of being, close with your team, being able to treat them like they're part of your family. That's what's going to allow us to grow both together, right? He's going to know more about me. I'm going to know more about him. We're going to understand how both of us can work. And that's going to become, I think, the best thing ever, because that's synergy. One thing that you can take out of this video is just place a bet on yourself and make sure that you keep betting on yourself until you achieve that goal, right? If you keep investing in yourself, keep showing up every single day, you're going to get to that point, because everything that's holding you back right now is just your limiting beliefs. And that's the reason, because you haven't got to that point yet where you have a big realization that everything is much easier than you think it is. The actions that you think it might be too much is someone else's bare minimum. My dad used to always tell me, another person's trash is another man's treasure, right? And that's how you think things. Everybody thinks differently. And how do you make sure you think like the person that you want to become? What actions you need to put in? How do you have to think about everything? How do you approach life? How can you be different? Because everything is about your mindset. The way that you perceive this world. If you put money as a pedestal, you won't be able to reach that. If you put someone else as a pedestal instead of trying to compete with them, then they're going to be so far away from you. And that's all the positioning in your mind. It's like thinking with glasses. How do you see the world? What is your perspective? What is your reality? How do you change your reality to the ones that you want? It's not by procrastinating. It's not about watching as many Alex Hermozzi videos as you can. It's about taking action, right? Because so many people can study for a very, very long time and see nothing at all. I know people in the space who've done a certain thing for a long period of time and they just got stuck there. Why? Because they don't want more. Because that's their belief. It's their limiting belief that they can't get more. I'm telling you, it's not meant for everybody. Your glasses, your dream, your reality might be that you work into a 9 to 5 or you become a billionaire. Everybody's different. And as long as you understand your goals and you start putting the inputs to reach those, it's impossible for you to fail. I genuinely believe that. I'm not where I want to be, but I know that all the inputs that I do every single day is going to pile up. It might be shit for the next 3 months, but there's going to be 1 month, 2 months, 3 years that I'm going to be able to benefit off the inputs that I did from today. Even if it was the same for my client Juna, my client AG, Aiden, Rain. They all didn't expect to change so much just because of the limiting beliefs that they had. These guys only wanted to make $500, $800. They didn't even see the real money behind all of this. And they ended up making, most of them, 300% than what they actually thought. Even more. Some people are reaching 10K a month. Some people just recently hit 3K. Some of them made 3K in the first 2 weeks. Your whole idea of how you perceive the world, that changes how you act. It changes the goals that you can achieve. And last thing before this video ends, but understand that the level of your expectations will determine the size of your goal. As long as you don't put a certain amount of income on a pedestal, you will be able to reach it. Not even just income, not even just money, but in talking about intangible goals. You might feel like being happy or being grateful is so far away from you are currently. How do you change that? Start being grateful for the little things. You start making small changes to make sure you get to that point. Right? Because if nothing changes, nothing changes.